At one point we were in a hotel and we were shooting day for night. We had to black out the whole hotel. You couldn't access the skylight from above. My best boy, actually, genius piece of work, he said, why don't we just get some party balloons and just let them up into the space, leave the string hanging down. So we sent somebody off to the local party balloon shop, just blocks out all the daylight. Couldn't see them in shot, and then we just got up a ladder and pulled them all down.
Wow, genius.
Isn't it? I was like... Hi, my name's Julian White. Today we're going to have a look at some of the challenges and some of the techniques that I've used over the years and have a chat about my career. Cinderella. It was certainly the biggest film I'd done and with the biggest kind of clout. So I had Dante Ferretti and Sandy Powell, who again, Oscar winner. The ballroom set was huge and we had several thousand parkans on it. Running a show like that on the floor is quite an experience. But it had this kind of homage to glamour photography from the 1940s, which was a very hard, high front top light. So you get very small, no shadow, beautiful for the eyes because they just ping out and great for skin. It's very sculptural. And then when we actually got on set, we used the Joker Bug K5600 Big Eye. So basically you get a big light and put a small bulb in it, but you get this much broader, softer, aggressive light. We put it on a boom arm and just slightly above camera so we could get into the eyes, keep the no shadow short, and we put muslins on the front. And it was gorgeous, actually, really stunning. A tungsten lamp on a dimmer. Harry Brown. Harry Brown's a very different film. Harry Brown was very urban. There's a scene in a pub, actually, between Michael and David. It's a working man's pub in East London in the middle of the day, and it's kind of got, there's no beauty to it. There's an honesty about it, which I really like. So we made a rig above the bar where it first starts, and then it evolves into the scene where they're playing chess. We lit Michael from the outside, so he's got a nice three-quarter front, which is going through a frosted glass, so we didn't diffuse it a huge amount. David Bradley's lit, again, in the reverse by a bit of bounce, I think, and nothing much more. And it was, again, you're not trying to reverse the architecture, if you know what I mean. It's like you put the actors in the right place, the light's doing its thing, and you just then return it or control it. The thing about that film is that I remember me sitting now in Martian and kind of going, how are we going to do this? Because we're on doing big nights on an estate which we can't control, which has a lot of fluorescent lighting, kind of going, well, what do we do about all the practical lighting? I said, well, maybe we don't try and control it, go with it. So what we ended up doing, I suggested we use just sodium floodlights, which you can buy from B&Q, and they were in shot. And nobody would question it because they're everywhere in that estate. And the quality of light fits into the environment. I did a movie in Italy again with Martian, and I had a local gaffer, and he said, oh, we'll change every bulb to tungsten. I went, no, the whole point of it is I didn't want it to look too cozy and neat and soft, warm light everywhere. George Clooney was a guy who was trapped, paranoid, and on the run. What you don't want to do is make it nice and cozy and warm. You want it to be jarring and jangly and discordant. Murder on the Orient Express. It's a train stuck in the middle of nowhere in the mountains at night. To make 12 different people of different colours, different ages, different sexes, all look their best is quite a challenge. And also we're shooting on 70mm in a 40-foot tube. We would use practical lighting, which we put a tungsten bulb in, then we had a LED back to it. So when we looked at the lamp, we saw it on camera, we could take the LED out and just see the tungsten bulb. I asked the production designer also to give us the roof could be pulled out, like a false ceiling. We could run cables through. It was before the time of a lot of wireless lighting, but also I designed some LED tubes and I put like little magnets on the back, which I could just stick anywhere. So we could move very quickly. And that was the other problem. If you have 12 people, we couldn't have lots of stuff on the floor. It had to be done from outside or inside the carriage. And the LED lights really came into their own because obviously they don't get hot, so we could put them in, again, right up against fabrics and against wood, and it wasn't a problem. And also a lot of the surfaces are quite shiny, so you couldn't have point lighting so much because it would really show up. Having that kind of soft tube lighting was very helpful. But you tend to, through experience, go, well, logically it would dictate if you're in a cupboard, you don't bring a big light because it's going to be difficult. Lock. We actually were going to do the drive from London to Birmingham. A day before, they said, you can't do that. And they're like, what do you mean? He said, well, you can't put a low loader on a motorway. We'd have to have so many police escorts. It became difficult. And it wasn't a huge budget film. LED lighting at that point was not very sophisticated. It was all theatre lighting, so we used some like ground rows for theatres. We basically built a scaffold rig above the car and then put something through the back and then had some bits for an eye light. We turned up in a car park, we rigged it and we set off. So we started off with a little dimmer board, literally faders. And the beauty of it is this, that every night we'd do the whole script 3 times. We could then refine it through the night. And actually it works very well, partly because of Harris's cinematographic capabilities. So we'd shoot through a halfway mirror, so we'd see the reflections of everything that was going behind, which doesn't make sense because you're looking through the front of a windscreen, well then you wouldn't see the reflections from the oblique angle. It was a very kind of like 5 people on a low load of Tom Hardy in a car doing this kind of very interesting experimental student film. Crazy Rich Asians. We were shooting in Marina Bay Sands. You know, I remember doing The Scout and we were literally in a performance. We were there at 10 o'clock at night while the disco was going on, trying to explain what was going to happen. And they have all these huge, like very ornate LED systems. And we went in there and the DOP said, right, I want 3 cranes, one as a backlight, one as a side, and you know, that we would be able to just rotate round and we'd have these cranes up. And again, we were doing this in a performance because every night there's 2 performances. And they said, well, the only problem is you have to take the cranes down. The public would come in, there would be a 15-minute performance of lighting displays, like a tourist thing, and then we would stop shooting. They'd do the 15 performance, we'd bring it all back in and put it all back up again, and then we'd do it again at 10 o'clock. And I was like, how's that going to work? You're wasting so much time. So what I suggested is there was a walkway going around, and we just put moving lights up that we could pan around and spot into, and we use those as backlights. We had one big 20 by 20 softbox. And so I had 2 desktops. I had my desktop and a very talented young Chinese girl who had the whole of the site on a desk. She would do the architectural stuff and he would do the stuff around the band. So there was a big wedding scene at the end, or the big party scene after the wedding at the end. So we did that all with Chinese lanterns, which we dotted around all back onto dimmers. And also we then had to light the Marina Bay Sands Hotel, which we lit from the floor basically. So I started in April on prep and we didn't shoot that till June. So I had to then project 2 months down the line of how this was all going to work out after doing a 15-minute recce. I mean, it's just like... Having said that and going through the whole experience, it came out and it was one of my favourite projects. And I was very proud of it and I really enjoyed every moment of it. The Martian. Ridley is a real master of filmmaking. He's just got nerves of steel, and I've never been on a set quite like it, and it was very exhilarating. You know, he always shoots 2 or 3 cameras. I mean, we shot in 3D, so instead of changing lenses, they change camera rigs. So they'd have 3 cameras times 3, 2 on each rig. So they'd have like a 50mm, and then B camera would be on a 25 or a 40 or whatever, and then C camera would be on a 75, and they just change them around. Then they had to have another set of cameras to back up, plus a whole gang of stereographers, and it was just, again, mind-blowing. And Ridley would sit in a tent with all these monitors and just be like, and it was just incredible. Ridley does not want to wait. He would literally just be like, I want to go. I just want to shoot. What I was really stunned at, actually, we were on a huge stage. It was like as big as the 007 stage. So we had triple layer lighting for green screen. We had black curtain, white curtain, 4 18K Arri Maxes, and 3 balloons. And that was it. And again, that's really smart. And Derek the call he made that he would make, I'd be like, wow. Control. So Control is one of those films, again, it's like there was no time, no money, you know, what's new? Manchester, 1970s, a bit like Harry Brown, a pretty gloomy place. You're not doing kind of like shafts of light coming through stained glass and things like that. It's a different world. And I liked that, and we went in, so we actually scouted in Ian's house, and I took some photographs of myself in there as a reference. And then one night I was like, how am I going to do this? We're in a very basic stage studio. It was like nothing fancy, with basic sets with no ceilings and stuff like that. So what I did was got Dinos, put them on the floor, and point them straight up, and then put silver foam core in and just bounce light in. So we need, again, aggressive soft light. On the windows we had net curtains, but then we'd put layers of diffusion where we needed it, and it kind of worked very well because it could penetrate the rooms. Because the problem is, if you have a small aperture which is diffused in a room that's dark, all you're going to get is that, and it kind of wouldn't work. And it was just trying to find that balance, and then we just have a bit of room tones to fill in the things. And I loved it, actually, I got to say. And because we didn't have huge sets and things like that, we couldn't do these big You know, it was very pared back. It was a lot of static shots, some gentle pushes and stuff like that, and really good performances. And again, I think, you know, with lighting is you shouldn't be, you're like, hey, look at me. I'm like, it shouldn't be about that. And I think actually camera shouldn't be about that. And I think storytelling should be about, you know, Roger Deakins does it to a certain extent, is remove all the, it's all fluff, which you don't need. And I think that Control was my kind of first step into that world where, okay, you haven't got the money, so don't try and be super fancy. Just keep it basic, you know.